Hello, welcome to Leading the Way at Leonard's. I'm your host, Dwayne Knepper. Now, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 80 to 90% of American businesses are family owned. One of them is Leonard's Express. Today, we'll be talking about how families and businesses can form a cohesive unit inside and outside of work. And of course, riding shotgun with me today is Leonard's Express CEO Ken Johnson.
Hey, Dwayne, great to be back again.
Also joining us are Leonard Express CFO Kyle Johnson and financial analyst Max Herbst.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Hey, Ken, we know how proud you and your brothers Kyle and Kevin are to lead a family-owned business. Can you talk about why that's so important to you?
Yeah, it's family business. Obviously, as you mentioned, make up a great part of businesses in the United States, and we're certainly proud to be a part of that. And I come from a family of truckers. My great grandfather was in the trucking business. My grandfather was, and certainly my dad and mom were. They started KJ Transportation in 1972 and ran that through 1998. With Kevin, Kyle, myself, and my sister Kim joining KJ, along with several other family members. And then 2001 we started Leonard's Express along with Johnson Equipment, and we've been running that as a family until my parents retired roughly 10 or so years ago, and Kim did it as well. I believe that was about 2016 or so. Now we're seeing, the third generation, of our family start to join, Leonard's Express and Johnson Equipment and our other companies. And, we're certainly proud of that. We're proud that we built something, that, other family members want to be a part of, but, the others have interests in other areas as well. So, it's something we can do together as a family. We've built a nice sized company. So there's, plenty of room, for the family. And I think that's part of what helps, make it successful for us, is that we're so diversified that, we kind of offer something for everybody, whether a family member or not.
Absolutely. Leonard's is in the minority of successful family businesses. Only 33% of family businesses succeed to the second generation. 12% succeed to the third generation, and only 3% succeed to the fourth generation. Kyle, to what do you attribute this success that Leonard has?
That's a great question. First and foremost, I attribute it to our parents and the example that they set. They were able to establish with us very early that work is work, home is home, and it's not that you don't talk about work at home, but you don't bring it home. And over the years. Probably the most important aspect of that was developing professional respect for each other and being able to go into a meeting and being able to respectfully disagree about something and be able to walk out of the meeting feeling okay, like you were heard. And even if the decision didn't go your way, that, we were dealt with in a professional manner, and we dealt with our siblings or parents for that matter in a respectful way. And hopefully we're passing that same level of professional respect on to the next generation who we meet with regularly. And, and we hope to carry on that tradition, for several generations, because it's very important to us and we're very proud of what we do. I do think it's a strange anomaly for, my sister's now retired. She's out of the business. We still talk to her very frequently, definitely every week, if not daily. And, I think it's not only odd that we're successful in business together, but we're good family together. I mean, we don't have disagreements outside of that. And I think some of that comes back to the respect that we have for each other.
Now, Max, how do you fit into the mix as a member of the Leonard Express family?
Well, it probably depends who you ask. But, my title is a financial analyst. So I do quite a bit of work, on that side of the business in accounting and finance. I work with Kyle very regularly and our controller, Mark McNaughton. I do a lot of work with our operational teams and identify areas of improvement and strategize. I also spend quite a bit of time on our property companies and our leasing subsidiary at Johnson Equipment. I'm also Kevin's son-in-law, so my wife is Kevin's daughter. So that's an interesting dynamic for me because I am one of two in-laws in the third generation of family business employees. So that's a very interesting dynamic that we have, and we have an unofficial rule with the family and at Leonard's that you don't report directly to your branch. So Ken's children and his son-in-law do not report directly to him, although we all roll up to the CEO, obviously. But I don't report directly to Kevin, and Kyle's kids don't report directly to him. So right now we have 5 third-generation family business members working full-time for the business, and the 6th is probably going to be coming on full-time in May. So we try our best to not blur the lines there from business and family, although we do work together regularly. No one reports directly to their branch, but business needs come first. So if there's ever crossover where it makes sense or where the need is for the business, then that's what we'll do. But right now, this is the family dynamic that we currently have.
Gotcha. I understand there's an old saying that the Johnsons have. They've been using this for many years to describe the family business dynamic. It's a family business, not a business family. Ken, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been around a long time. I'm not really fully sure. I think a lot of that had to do with the way my mother and father, brought us up in the business. We tend to talk a lot about business. Business was always front and center with my dad, but it was always family first. And family needs, regardless of what they are, came before the business needs. Which when you're running a business, and and ours has gotten to a fairly good size, there's a responsibility there on both sides because I've always held the belief that I will do anything to try to help anybody, regardless of whether they're direct family or Leonard's family, but it can't be at the expense of everybody else. With our family, we're very fortunate, that we have diverse interests, we have diverse skills, that allows us to support each other, and run the business from several different directions. No one, are really tripping over each other, and so we can put family first, but still take care of the business family. So we're kind of proud of that. That's our one of our key values. And it's worked well for us over the years, and I think just having that ingrained in us, is part of what makes us successful, especially as we transition from generation to generation.
It certainly has. Kyle, I don't know if you wanted to jump in there on that one too.
Yeah, it's a fine balance because without the business, we're not here, right? So we've got to take care of the business. It happens to be a family business, but like Ken said, we've got to take care of the family first, and so it's always a challenge trying to run that balance because this is how we all feed our families, and we take the responsibility of the close to 1,000+ employees now that we also take that responsibility very seriously, that we're helping them feed their families. And so it is a fine balance, and we're pretty proud of what we've done here. We're pretty proud that we've been able to carry it on, and hopefully we'll continue to do so.
I think it's interesting that I think of the third generation coming on. I'm not sure there's any of them that's left high school thinking they were going to come to work at Leonard's. I think they all had different goals, and maybe even in some cases when they left college, that they had different goals. And I think over time they've had the opportunity to see what we've done, both as a company and as a family, and the value has brought both, and made some changes. And and I think a lot of it started. They all would work for us. summer vacations, holiday breaks, and they developed a sense of what we're doing, and a respect for that, and an interest in it, which I thought that was kind of neat, that I knew fairly early on in life that I wanted to work in the family business. I enjoyed on the things I was doing, but I think the third generation really didn't come into that until a little later in their in their lives, and and it's kind of neat to me to see that that they changed their thoughts over time as they got a better idea of what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's even more to what Kai was saying is that it's a part of the family. They're not going to get away from it at some point, and they eventually, are drawn to the circle that the family hangs out in, right?
Sure. Yeah, not everyone has. It's there's parts of the next generation have chosen different career paths. And that's great. They should everyone should try to do what makes them happy, anyways. For a living. It's they should pursue their desires and dreams, and if it's a place at Leonard's or one of our other companies, that's great. If it's not, that's okay too. That's what family's for, supporting whatever those choices are. But it is neat that some of them have found their way to Leonard's and Johnson Equipment and integrated in the school and so on, and want to be a part of it. So.
So I had the privilege of speaking at the Pat Johnson Award ceremony, saying a few words about my dad. Dad could not understand why anybody didn't want to come work for the companies.
Right.
He was so passionate about it. He loved what he did. His work was his life. And he, by the way, I was one of those people that I didn't want to come into the trucking industry. I went and got my engineering degree, and by the grace of Dad, he figured out a way to get me back in, and I've never regretted a minute of it. But yeah, Dad was so passionate, and he just could not understand why anybody wouldn't want to work here, and tending to agree with him. But it's he was passionate about that, no doubt.
Yeah,
it's interesting too, because you can find your path, and sometimes it doesn't go necessarily where you thought it would. For me, I went to school for finance, and I thought I would kind of go into wealth management and investment management. And now I still get to do finance, which is great, but I do it at Leonard's, and in more of a corporate finance realm. So it might not be a total career change for the next generation to come work at Leonard's. I think there are a lot of parallels to some of the plans that you might think you're going to follow anyway. And I agree with Kyle, and I couldn't be happier working here every day. A lot of pride in what we do, and really get to enjoy doing it.
And I think part of it, as some of them worked, through summer vacations, they realize that they're it's not just the truck, that there's a lot of different career paths within our companies, that a lot of needs that we have, from skill sets, different skill sets. It's not just picking up the load, delivering it, and then paying the driver, paying the rest of the staff, and that there's a lot more complexity to it, and a lot more going on, a lot more interesting than maybe they picked up at dinner with their families growing up.
Yeah, and to your point, Max, I mean, certainly Leonard's Express has a lot of talent in its dynamics here. We do have a short video to share about Leonard's Express that really speaks to the company and family values.
The company is currently owned by my two brothers and myself. It was founded by our family. It remains in our family, and our core value is family.
We learned from our parents that if you're going to do something, you do it right, and I think it reflects in how we do business.
We feel we provide a valuable service to our community. Without trucks, stores will be empty.
You can feel the culture, you can feel the people, you can feel their passion for what they do and for each other.
We really do walk the talk here. You know who's got your back.
There's nothing that can beat the people that work in this company. We truly work with the best.
This is a career because we are looking for longevity. We are looking for that dedication.
I think anybody that's considering coming on board with Leonard's, they'd be very happy.
Things that we haul: pineapples, bananas,
Flour, beer,
Pistachios, chicken.
Apple juice, orange juice.
Anything and everything.
My brothers and I are available 24/7. We're going to be there to service the customer.
It's all about our people. We're just going to simply treat you better.
Wow, Max, you hit on some of this a little bit prior. You participate in St. John Fisher University's Family Business Program. What have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, it's been a great experience. I went to St. John Fisher University for my undergraduate work when I got my 4-year business degree, and they were piloting a program geared toward family firms that basically helped to facilitate some of the very important discussions that we need to have. Because family's complicated enough, and so is business. And when you combine the two, you really have something challenging to navigate. So making sure that you approach these topics with a level head, the right mind, and making sure that, as Ken and Kyle have said, we meet our family needs and the business needs. So I'm on the Family Business Steering Committee at the university. So we put together these programs and put together a family business program within the School of Business for next generation family business members to kind of work through some of these interesting dynamics that we're discussing as they try to make the decision to enter the business that their families have started and cultivated or not. So, Kyle and Ken have attended with me. Our next generation group has attended. They're really great topics, everything from integrating non-family business members to your management teams, to succession planning and organizational structure. Really, really great program that we've gotten a lot out of, and we continue to participate in every time they have the series.
Absolutely. I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but I know at family events, there's always that one matriarch that seems to know how everyone is connected in some shape, form, or fashion. So, anybody can just jump in here on this one. How many family members actually work for Leonard Express? And more importantly, can anyone name them all?
Let's see. Kevin, Kyle, Ken, obviously. Katie Hatzel, my daughter. Patrick Johnson's my son. Mitchell Johnson's my nephew. Elise Johnson works part-time while she's still attending school. Of course, Max and David Hatchell is my son-in-law. Both work for the companies. At times we've had aunts, cousins. Kevin's wife and my wife both work for the company, but retired.
Retired or resigned?
To a retirement.
Right. Well, and I've got a brother-in-law that's here.
That's right.
Kevin's mother-in-law works in our billing department.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's plenty of family around. So be careful who you talk to.
If you go to one of those ancestries.com, I'm sure we could go back and find others that are some sort of relation.
Right.
Depending how far down the family tree you want to climb.
And some people just think they're family. So
right.
At some point, right, you kind of become family.
One of the fun things at my dad's funeral service was they talked about his 5th child or his 4 sons, because there was a lot of people that fell into that category that people just worked for us and that he just took under his wings. And there was asked at the service, how many people feel that they were his 4 sons, and I think about half the men in the room raised their hands. So he had a way about him for bringing others into the family.
You just reminded me of Jason Stalker, so there's another family member.
That's right.
That's my cousin's son.
Yes.
There you go. Hey, Kyle. I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show. What's it like at the Thanksgiving dinner table? Do you have a rule that you're not allowed to talk business at holiday meals or any other special family time?
I don't remember growing up that there was a specific rule. I think everyone kind of understood when enough was enough. I think like I mentioned earlier, we were taught work was work, home is home. That doesn't mean you don't talk about work at home. And certainly there were times around the Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or any of the other number of times that we got together that we talked business. But I don't ever remember it being to excess. I know today with my family having one of my children full-time in the business, one part-time. Sometimes I got to shut it down at night and tell, you say, look, I'm not talking about work anymore, right? We're home. And I think by osmosis, if you will, you kind of learn when enough is enough, and you do have to shut it off at some point during the day. And, obviously as key members in the business, we never shut it off, right? Our cell phones are on, or, there's times when, sometimes you can't turn it off and you want to,
Right.
But with the family dynamic, there has to be limits, and I think those are learned over time.
Sure. Now, Max, let's circle back to what are some of the tips you've learned at St. John Fisher University about family cohesion inside and outside of work?
Yeah, and Kyle talked about it earlier, and one of the most important things is respecting one another. We're all very different. We have different skill sets that complement each other. Valuing each other's opinions and making sure that we are, respecting those opinions and listening. That's very important. Putting family first. You don't have the business without the family in our case. So that's very important to make sure that we get along, which we all do. We all get along, whether it's playing golf or getting together at family occasions or any number of hobbies that we have in common. We all get along very well and we work together very well. So, just making sure you're protecting the family and one another is really, really important to the success of the business, because we have family members in key areas of the company that if we didn't get along and didn't respect one another or communicate, that would be like any other ordinary leadership structure, just not getting along or communicating, which is just detrimental to the success and the steering of the business. So I would say above all, putting the family needs is just as high as the business needs is incredibly important for family business sustainability.
Absolutely. Ken, as a Leonard's Express employee myself, I know from firsthand experience that all 1,000 plus employees feel like members of my family, and I feel like a member of the Johnson's family. How does Leonard's build and maintain this incredible atmosphere?
I think we're fortunate to, I've built the company with that as one of our key values from the get-go. My mother especially brought a lot of that. A lot of people felt that very comfortable walking in and talking to her, and sharing, challenges or opportunities they were facing. And, I learned a lot from watching that, growing up in the business. But, I think, it's always, the approach we've taken. It's as part of who we are. We treat people the way we want to be treated, and then take care of our extended family the same way as best we can. With our immediate family, is the success of the company relies on every one of the employees of our companies. So treating them like family has just been the path to our success, and it'll continue to be. It gets a little harder as we get bigger. Not so much the numbers, but the number of locations. We're geographically we're spread out, so it takes a little bit of work. But that's as far as I'm concerned, that's an important part of what my responsibilities are. Is to make sure, regardless of where in the country any of our folks are, that they feel connected to the rest of the company. It's Farmington's our headquarters, but it's not our largest base of trucks anymore. We have you're in Delaware, and Delaware does a lot of things differently from an operation standpoint, because it's mostly container, but it's still everyone there is part of our family, just like everyone in any one of our other facilities. It's just just continue to build on that and keep that front and center. As we've done acquisitions, that's always a part of the conversation when we're looking at a company. We want to meet the owners first to make sure that the culture is a good fit. For us, we don't want to bring any toxicity into the company. Because that's where the challenges begin. So it's just keeping a close eye on that and making sure that everything we do builds on that and not does nothing to deteriorate that value.
It does get harder and harder the bigger that we get, and like Ken said, it's really not necessarily the quantity and size, because if our drivers out there don't know, if you call me, I may not answer, but I'll get back to you when we can find time. And I think it's very important that we have that access and keep our doors open to that policy. But it does get tough. And one thing that I'm mindful of is that, and this is something I've had to learn over the last few years, is how intimidating sometimes we can be to people that are new to our company. And I had an experience here not too long ago where it was a relatively new person. I asked them to come to my office just to have a discussion about how things were going with their new job. And, I think this poor person was very intimidated that, the owner and CFO invited them, to a meeting. I think maybe they thought they're getting fired or something. And, and I guess sometimes I lose sight of the fact that people see us differently than I see myself. And we want to maintain that family atmosphere. And, there's a lot of challenges to that. But I think we do a pretty good job at it.
Yeah,
I feel any better. I certainly still get nervous when Kyle calls me into his office. So, it is what it is. But like Ken and Kyle have said, it's a challenge. And we all in the next generation want to get to know everybody as the three current owners have, and it's difficult. You go around, and some of the nice things about new people is that they don't really know who you are. And sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes maybe it's a curse, but I have a different last name, not being born a Johnson. So I can kind of be behind the scenes a little bit, but certainly there are some challenges as we continue to grow, maintaining the family feel. But, Kyle and I have discussed it when we had people to our team. We really value the culture as much as the qualifications. Someone might be more qualified than another candidate for a job opening we have. But if we think the less qualified applicant is capable of doing the job and is going to be a better culture fit, that's who we're going to pick. If they fit into the group and they're going to be a good person, a good Leonard's family member, and that's the person that's going to join the team. And I think that approach has been very, very successful for maintaining and building on the culture that we have.
And by the way, I think we're up to 13 now because we got to add Max's dad also works for us.
That's true.
Yeah.
And your brother-in-law's son Cole works for us on the property.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
we'll keep going, Dwayne. We'll keep thinking of people. Yeah.
My nephew Cole, and actually his girlfriend also works for one of our companies as well. So maybe now we're up to 15.
Holy cow.
We'll keep going.
And you guys are all very obviously very visible, very hands-on. I think the fact that you also have a CDL, so you know what it's like driving a truck, and Kyle, you've been around the trucking industry for quite some time, so there's a knowledge base that comes with that as well. That's certainly due for the utmost respect about what it is that you guys are actually doing here as well. So.
Yeah, how Kyle escaped the CDL path is beyond me. I don't know. Kevin and I, that was part of growing up. So I'm not sure how Kyle missed that, but there's still hope if we have the school.
No hope.
So, Ken, where can viewers learn more about Leonard's Express?
Well, certainly, we have our presence on the social media platforms, but our website is www.leonardsexpress.com, no apostrophe, all one word. We're always trying to keep that update, and I know they're working on that now, and especially some of the exciting things we got coming up. We're having a special page or a page made specifically for our refrigerated warehousing that's in the process of opening up. So yeah, we're trying to expand our presence, on the internet and on the social media platforms.
And that's exciting news. I'm gonna break from the topic. We got our certificate of occupancy in our warehouse yesterday, so
All right.
we're ready to start hauling freight into our new refrigerated warehouse.
Yes, indeed.
That is great news. So, well, Kyle and Max, thanks for joining us today. Your insight on working for a family-owned business is absolutely important, and as the vast majority of Americans work for a family business. So thanks again for being on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
So that's a wrap for this edition, of Leading the Way at Leonard's. If you have questions or feedback, we'd love to hear from you at leadingtheway@leonardsexpress.com. That's leading the way, all one word, at leonardsexpress.com. And please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Knepper. Until next time, keep on trucking.
We're running 18 wheels down that open highway. We drive on through the night so you can have it your way. We're the angels of the highway, bringing hope across this land. Success through service, it's all part of the plan. We'll settle for nothing less. We're Leonard's Express.